Hey, and welcome to this introduction to Excel. In this session, we're going to look at Solver and at graphs. Now, Solver is similar to GoalSeek in that we saw in the previous session that GoalSeek is Excel guessing its way to an answer, right? So it basically, you say, what do I need to do? So if we take that this, what we have here is that to the power of 2. So if we have 5, we get 25, and so on. 7 get 49, 12, 144. We use GoalSeek to ask the kind of questions when we need to go backwards, or when we can't easily see what the answer is. So what is 12 squared? Or we find that out by just putting 12 in here, or what is 16 squared? We just put that in here, we get it. But what is the square root of 256? That's not that easy to know in advance. Now we can, inverse the function and figure it out algebraically, but sometimes that's not easy, that's not possible. And that would be harder than to guess going in the other direction. Now for 256, that's 16, but if we say what's the square root of 644, we don't know. We can guess. Start by here. Okay, 625 squared is 625, so maybe it's 25.5. Well, that's slightly more than 644, so we should guess 25.4 maybe. Okay, getting closer. So we're guessing our way to whatever answer that gives us something that's approximately close to it. And that's what GoalSeek does, so this is a little bit of a recap. But Solver can do the same thing. The only difference is Solver is slightly more advanced, and it's a built-in function Excel. So Excel has under data, it has what if analysis and GoalSeek, but it also has Solver, which is a more powerful version of GoalSeek. It is externally done, but it's built into all Excels that you buy, or when you get Excel, it's there. If it's not here in the tab, it's under on ribbon, it's under the data tab, and then it should be here. If it doesn't appear here, you go to File, Options, and I believe Preferences on the Mac, and you go to Add-ins. Click on Add-ins, go to see Excel Add-ins, you press Go, and you click in Solver. So if it's not there, you click it in. So let's click it out. We see it disappears. So if it's gone, go to File, Options, Add-ins, Excel Add-ins, Go, and Solver. Okay. It might take a little while, but then it appears. So just like we said, okay, we want this to be 644. What do we need to put in here to get 644? We can do that with GoalSeek. So we go what if analysis, GoalSeek. We say set this value to 644. We want this to become 644 by changing the cell here. So we try changing this and see if this comes close to 644. And it does so when it gets this answer, right? Now we can copy this and we can paste it in here as values, just saving these values. And we see here, or if we press F2, we see here this is an approximate value. This is not exactly 644, but this is close enough to Excel. And we remember that Excel doesn't have infinite precision. It has, in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 characters of precision. Let's do the same thing in Solver. So we click Solver. Now this is a bit more advanced. We get a box here. We say set objective, in this case, this one here, to the value of, and we say 644, that's the value, by changing what cell, which cell, this one. Now you can change several cells, so we could choose several if we want to change them together. So that's one thing that it's more powerful in doing. And we can also look for the maximum or minimum of something instead of a specific value. So 644 by changing this cell. And we go solve, see what happens. And it finds a solution. We keep that solution, okay. And we see it's the same solution. Or is it? We'll copy this, we paste it in. We see that it's an approximate value and we get approximately 644. But if we add decimals, so let's make these a little bigger. There we go. And now we can increase the decimals in home, and then here we can, and then we see that it's not exactly the same. So they're close, but they're not exactly the same, and obviously these are not exactly the same. So we see that we get an approximate answer that's approximately close. They use slightly different methods, so they don't get the same answers necessarily. Okay, so we've looked at solver. It can also find a, if we want it to be a specific value, that's okay. But it could be that we have a function, for example, that's right, minus this to the power of 2 plus 4, plus 4 times that plus 3. This is just a basic quadratic function. It has a maximum, it has a minimum, or it should anyways. Yeah, and we'll see if we can find that maximum. So go to sort and filter, custom sort. Oops, no, sorry, my mistake. We go to data, we go to solver, and we go set this objective, find the maximum of it. So don't a specific value, just see if you can find a maximum by changing that cell. And we see we have the previous settings saved here. Press solve, and it didn't find a solution. That is strange. This should have a maximum. Let's see. Maybe that's the problem. There we go. And we see here's an issue with Excel. We'll try to solve it again. And now we saw that maximum was 0. And so what was the problem here is actually we see one aspect of which Excel doesn't really follow the standard priorities or order of operations. In most cases, if you write minus something, minus 2 to the power of 4, unless using, indicating a somewhat way, you would assume that it does the power first and then takes the minus. You would want to be, if you were to be particular, that was the negative that you took to the power 4, you would write like that to be clear. But here, Excel, and this was new to me, so you always learn something new, actually takes the negative and squares it. So that is strange. Or did anyways. Yeah, so it takes the negative and absorbs it, so we see we get larger and larger values because this obviously becomes positive. Same as if we go like this. So now we've seen Solver, we've seen that's slightly more powerful than GoalSeek, and we see that it can do everything GoalSeek can do, but also more. So it's a good alternative to have. Now let's look at some graphs. So if you want to make a graph, there are several ways to make, several kinds of graphs you can make, and there's a lot of options to how to stylize your graphs. We're going to just go look at some of that stuff and some of the most important stuff, but when it comes to sort of design and that, you can get a feel for it yourself and decide what you want. So let's say we have some data, we have the time, or let's say the date, we have, let's say we have sales, and let's say we have profit. And I'm just gonna make up some numbers here, 2020 01 05. And because I write it this way, Excel understands that this is a date, so now it's in date format. Sales, 500, 600, then assume you saw there that it thought maybe it should be 700, 800, but no, I'll do like that. And profit, just making some stuff up here. There we go. Okay, so we have something like this. We might want to adjust these a little bit to make it slightly better. And we might want to put these to the right to make that look slightly nicer. Maybe bold it or something like that. Make a little line like this. I don't know. But if we want to make a graph on this, how would we do that? Well, if we were to make a graph, we go to Insert and go to various charts we have here. And the most common ones, popular ones, is the bar chart, the line chart or line graph, and the scatter plot. So the bar chart, the line graph, and the scatter plot. And how would that look? So if we were to do this, and now we see something strange is going to happen. So let's look at sales over time. We go like this, and we go for the bar graph. And it comes up like this nicely. And we see here sales here, and we have our various times, and we get a graph. We have a quick layout here, and this is quite useful in order to change the various layouts we have. And we see here a few options here that we have. So it's a quick way to see the various kinds of layouts we have. We have visual stuff as well, and in format you can change some stuff as well. So here's a way to visualize it in a bar graph. If we make it smaller, we see we can't see as much and that kind of stuff. We might want to remove this, might not be necessary, and it adjusts and so on. We can mess around with this, but we just go to Insert and click on the bar graph, and we click the first one, and it's often the best case. You'll also, the more you use graphs in Excel, start noticing in newspapers and in seminars and in presentations, most graphs, or a lot of times you'll see a lot of graphs, you'll notice the standard template from Excel. So a lot of people are using this because it's an easy way to introduce these design elements into your numbers without going into a different program. So let's look at a different kind of graph. I'm just going to delete this. Let's look at these two, sales and profit. We go Insert, and we make a line graph. And now we have sales and profit. And we see here that profit is higher, so it's over the same time. We get the information here. Again, we have some quick layouts. We can change it around. We get some ways of seeing the different kinds. And again, here we can change like this or something like that if we want. And so that's a way of doing the line graphs. Now, if instead of dates, I can just put, for example, period 1, period 2, and so on. I have it in date format, but let's just do it in a general format here, and general format there, and put that down. Something like that. Maybe it's like, you have quarterly reports or something like this, or seasons. We insert and we try it. Now we get a period 1 and period 4, so it's nice in that way, and the same way here. Sometimes, however, we don't get it in this fashion. So let's see if we look at both of these two together, and we want sales to be the underlying, for example. We'll see if that works. And we see it doesn't, right? So sometimes when you select something, you get it. It looks a bit like this. And it can even happen if you have the date. You want the time to be here, but you don't get that. So you want period 1, period 2, and something like that, but it doesn't apply. Let's see if we can create such a thing here. So write day or something, or just write period or something. Well, here it gets it again nicely. I guess it interprets it in a good way. But sometimes you get the kind of problem we had previously. So I'll just click undo. We get back to this. You get this kind of problem when it appears here. And the reason it does that, it just interprets that I want to represent both of these, and we get a generic 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of our periods here. And the reason that happens is because you have this sales here. So if we delete that and create a new graph, then it should work. Yeah, so now we get profit with sales as our x-axis. So that is one way to deal with it directly. Another way, if we have, for example, something like this, and we want to introduce the periods here instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, we can just click on this so it selects it, right click and go format axis. Right click and go select data. And then we see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, the generic. We can click edit there and add these periods. Click OK and OK. And we see here we get the periods here. So that's one way of adding it manually. Perhaps it's not here, perhaps it's somewhere else. We can add that to our generic data. Now, lastly, we have we can make a scatter plot like this. And here we see profit compared to sales, right? So we get a scatter plot. And this is quite nice. We have various quick models here as well. And the basis of a scatter plot is that you're often comparing sort of what it looks like either over time or compared to something if you're looking for correlations and that kind of stuff. Oftentimes you want to make a regression in your scatter plots, and Excel can do that for us quite quickly. We see here in the quick layout, number 3 had it, layout number 9 had it as well. Layout 9 has both the regression and it has the equation for the regression. We both see the line of the regression and its equation, including its r-squared. So that is quite nice. We might want to delete that and just get it up here, so on. If we don't have this, if we click here, we see it can select this and then we can delete it if we don't want it. If we don't have and want to insert it, we go here as we did before. We just go format axis, and here we should be able to introduce not with the format y-axis. If we click here, we can go, let's see, format axis, and that's just, hang on, that's just the axis. We click on the data, and we can format data series. There we go. And here we can add a trend line if we want to. Or actually, it's easy. We can just click add trend line. There we go. Format trend line, and we have the various options here: linear, and exponential, or logarithmic, or something else. And we can also, make it specific, add the specifics to it and somewhat. And if we want the equation, we click in those things, so we get the equation as well. So that's good to know when it comes to scatter plots. And what's the benefit of doing so? Well, let's make again a function. Let's just make a random function here, a quadratic function, or let's make it to the power of 4 plus 3. Oops, 3 multiplied by that to power of 3 minus 2 multiplied by that plus 100. There we go. Okay, baby, that was a bit too complicated. Let's just do it like that. Okay, wait, hang on. Let's put the comma in the right place. There we go. Okay, so minus. Okay, yeah. Well, let's make this one larger. There we go. And then, yeah. Okay, so let's start with 0. And we'll just do, so we just do x values, and we do our quadratic function. So we could do our function. This is just a basic quadratic function. We can do it from minus 100 and to minus 90. We can drag this down, and we can test, as we see, various x values for x. And we can just drag this down by double-clicking there and double-clicking down. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Here's what it looks like. And we see here, I maybe want to fine-tune it. Here it's where it's positive, the rest is negative. Okay, so that's not that much fun. Let's see, where is it positive? It's between minus 10 and 30. So let's change the interval slightly here. So minus 10, minus 9, minus 8. There we go. And let's continue here to something like that. There we go. Okay, so I just from minus 10 to 31. Let's do the 30. That's nicer. And we have here the values of our quadratic function. It's basically we've written this x to the power, or that's minus x to the power of 2 plus, was it 26x plus 100. That is our function, I believe. Yes. So minus c5 to the power 2 plus 26c5 plus 10. So for various values, and then we just turn it down. We get take it down. We see various values for x. If we then make a scatter plot here, insert, we'll get our function in this way. And here we see what it looks like. We see we have our maximum somewhere here. So that's a nice way to visualize a maximum. Again, with this function, if we take it, or copy and paste it up here, just a copy of this, we can calculate what the maximum is. It seems to be somewhere around between 10 and 15, perhaps somewhere 12 or something. This one, I don't know why it seems a little lower than the others. It should be higher up. But it seems to be here, the maximum, right? At 13. We can see where it is by using the solver. So we go to data, solver, and we find the maximum. So set objective, this, to maximum by changing that. And we go solve. And we see that 13 is the maximum of this. So that is our actual maximum. Okay. And if we do something like this, if we make a function in this way, we might want to explain it or something like that. We can always add a comment. So we right click and go new comment. And then we're able to write a comment here. We can say a quadratic function, for example. Press OK. And then when we hover over, we see our comment there.